All right, so let's get right into it. We've got a mountain of debt info to unpack here.
Yeah, looks like a lot.
And it can be kind of overwhelming, right? I mean, when you see that average American household debt figure over $100,000, it's like,
Yeah,
whoa.
definitely a lot to take in.
But hey, that's why we're doing this deep dive, right? To give you a roadmap to sort of break it all down,
Exactly.
figure out how to manage it all.
And ultimately ditch it.
Yeah, get rid of it.
Yeah.
So in this deep dive, we're going to decode the different types of debt.
Yep.
Find some smart ways to pay it off, and even look at some of those AI tools.
I know you're into those.
Oh yeah, I love those.
Yeah.
Anything to make this whole process easier.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. And before we jump into like the actual paying it off strategies,
Right.
it's really important to understand that like not all debt is the same. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
think there's a big difference between, say, your credit card balance
Uh-huh.
and that car loan you mentioned in your notes.
Right, right.
So understanding those differences is going to be super important for figuring out like a game plan.
Gotcha. So let's decode these different types of debt. I'm guessing those credit cards are probably like enemy number one.
Yeah, you're on the right track there. We call that revolving debt.
Revolving.
Yeah, it's like a merry-go-round.
Oh, okay.
You borrow, pay back, hopefully, and then boom, you're right back on for another spin.
Oh, I see.
And the problem is those interest rates can get really high.
Yeah.
And if you're only like making minimum payments,
Mm-hmm.
you're basically just like throwing money at the interest,
Right.
not really making much progress on the actual balance.
Ouch. Yeah, that sounds kind of scary.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a trap.
So how does that compare to like the car loan then?
So that falls under something we call installment debt.
Okay.
It's more like a structured hike. you know?
Right.
There's a clear path, a destination.
I like that.
You've got your fixed loan amount, an interest rate, and a payment schedule.
So you know when it'll be done.
Yeah.
Exactly. When you'll reach the summit, debt-free.
Okay, so prioritize those high-interest credit card bills first.
Exactly. High interest first.
Got it. But even knowing that it's still like a huge monster to tackle, what are some of the best ways to actually like slay this debt beast?
So there are a couple of popular methods that your sources mentioned.
Okay.
The debt avalanche and the debt snowball.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of those.
Both great options for you to consider. The avalanche is all about efficiency,
Okay,
like laser focus on the debt with the highest interest rate,
makes sense.
no matter the balance. Imagine like surgically removing the most dangerous tumor first.
So that's the like strategic logical approach?
Yep, exactly.
But I have to admit, your sources also mentioned you're really motivated by seeing quick wins.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I'm wondering if the debt snowball might actually be a better fit for you.
Yeah, you might be right. The snowball focuses on knocking out the smallest debts first,
Okay.
regardless of the interest rate. So think of it like clearing those smaller boulders off the trail first.
Oh. Gain some momentum. Keep your spirits high, for the bigger challenges ahead.
Love that analogy.
It might cost a little more in interest overall,
Oh, right.
but the psychological boost can be huge for staying motivated.
Yeah, I totally get that.
It's like those level up moments in a video game keeps you hooked.
Definitely. Speaking of video games you mentioned in your notes, you love using tech to make life easier.
Oh yeah, always looking for the most efficient way to do things.
So are there any like apps or tools that can help with this whole debt crushing mission?
Absolutely. There are tons.
Cool.
So there's this one called You Need a Budget, or YNAB.
Why not, eh?
Yeah, it's fantastic for organization and efficiency.
So it helps you stay on track.
Yeah, it helps you track your spending, allocate every dollar, based on your priorities, and even plan for future expenses,
Sounds pretty comprehensive.
like a personal finance command center.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But what about something a little more futuristic? You mentioned AI in your research, and that definitely piqued my interest.
Ah, yeah, so there's this cool tool called Money Sensei.
Money Sensei.
Yeah, it's from Credit and Debt, and it uses AI
Wow.
to analyze your entire financial situation,
Nice.
and then it gives you personalized recommendations.
Oh, wow.
It can even help you negotiate lower interest rates with your creditors.
That's amazing.
It's like having a digital financial advisor in your pocket 24/7.
Okay, that's seriously impressive. Sounds like we're building a whole arsenal of weapons against this debt dragon here.
That's the goal.
But before we get too excited celebrating our future victory,
Right.
let's talk about something you mentioned you were struggling with. Credit scores.
Yeah,
It's like this big mysterious thing.
it can feel really confusing.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a little lost on that myself.
Well, it's definitely a key part of the whole financial picture,
Uh-huh.
and understanding it can make a huge difference. One key concept is your credit utilization ratio.
Credit utilization ratio.
Yeah. Think of it like a fuel gauge for your credit.
Okay.
It shows how much of your available credit you're actually using at the moment.
Mhm. Okay, so why is this little gauge so important? How does it like actually affect my score?
So a high utilization ratio sends up red flags to those credit bureaus.
The credit bureau.
Yeah, those are the folks who determine your score. A high utilization tells them that you might be relying too much on credit.
Oh, I see.
Could be overextended financially.
So it's like a warning sign.
Exactly. Keeping that needle below 30% is like cruising comfortably in the green zone,
Okay, so less is more when it comes to credit utilization.
pretty much.
How do I actually get that gauge down then?
Okay, so for example,
Yeah.
if your credit card limit is $10,000,
Uh-huh.
you'd want to keep your balance below $3,000 to stay in that safe zone.
Okay. Makes sense.
And one of the most effective ways to do that is by paying off your credit card balance in full each month.
Gotcha.
It shows you're managing your credit well.
Right.
Keeps your score looking good.
This is making so much more sense now. It's not just about paying bills on time.
Nope.
It's also about managing that whole credit dance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
But what about those situations where someone's already tried all the DIY stuff,
Right.
and they still feel like they're trapped, like in a debt spiral?
Yeah, I get that.
Are there options for those like more extreme cases?
Definitely. Sometimes it takes more than just willpower and budgeting apps.
Yeah, for sure.
And in those cases, it's good to know that there are lifelines, you know.
Okay, good to know.
So debt settlement is one option.
Net settlement. Yeah.
It involves working with a company that negotiates with your creditors
Okay.
to reduce the total amount you owe.
So they're like the middleman.
Exactly.
That sounds like a potential game changer. But are there any downsides to that? Or risks?
Yeah, it's important to remember that debt settlement can impact your credit score.
Okay.
And there's no guarantee that creditors will agree to the terms.
Right.
And like with any financial service,
Yeah.
there are scams out there.
Oh, of course.
So always do your research and work with reputable agencies.
That's good advice. What about credit counseling? I've heard that can be helpful too. Is that something you'd recommend?
Oh, absolutely. Credit counseling agencies can be like having a financial coach in your corner.
I like that.
They can help you create a personalized budget,
Okay.
negotiate with those creditors on your behalf,
Uh-huh.
and even enroll you in a debt management plan.
So it's like having a personal trainer for your finances.
Exactly.
I love it. And then there's the big one. The often scary word, bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Is that ever a good option, or should it always be like a last resort?
Bankruptcy should definitely be the last resort.
Okay.
It has some serious long-term consequences,
Right.
especially for your credit history.
Oh, yeah.
Makes it tougher to get loans or credit in the future.
I can see that.
It's kind of like hitting the reset button on your financial life.
But with some serious side effects.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So not a decision to take lightly.
Definitely not.
It's crucial to talk with a financial advisor or an attorney before making any decisions about these options.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
like debt settlement, credit counseling, or bankruptcy,
Okay.
they can help you figure out your specific situation
Yeah.
and guide you toward the best path forward.
Awesome. This has been super helpful already. We've covered so much.
I know, right?
From understanding those tricky debt types to figuring out strategies and even uncovering some pretty impressive tech tools.
Tech is on our side.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But there's still more to explore.
Oh, yeah, lots more.
We'll be back to talk about how to stay debt-free for life and uncover some more amazing resources to help you on your journey.
Can't wait.
So we've talked a lot about tackling that existing debt, you know,
Yeah, getting rid of that debt monster.
which is obviously like the first step, right?
For sure.
But what about the other side of the coin? How do we prevent it from coming back? Like, how do we build a life where debt doesn't control us?
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, right?
Totally.
It's about shifting from defense to offense.
Mm.
You know, from firefighting to actually fireproofing.
I love that.
And a big part of that, like we talked about in a previous episode, is having a solid emergency fund in place.
Right, like that financial safety net.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To keep you from falling back into the debt trap when those unexpected expenses pop up.
Because life never goes exactly as planned.
Never.
So having that cushion is crucial. Your notes also talked about automation,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm all about that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to saving.
Oh, yeah. Set it and forget it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Automating those transfers from checking to savings every month
Makes it so much easier.
takes the decision-making out of the equation.
Oh, love it. You
Yeah.
can even automate your retirement contributions or investments, too.
Oh, yeah, sure. Like putting your financial future on autopilot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind, and those savings just grow in the background.
Exactly. But let's be real.
Okay.
Even with a solid emergency fund and all that automation, there are still those big expenses that might need a loan.
Yeah, like a house or maybe going back to school.
Right, exactly, those big ticket items. So how do we approach those without falling back into bad habits?
That's the million-dollar question.
Well, that's where the concept of good debt versus bad debt comes into play.
Okay, yeah, I've heard those terms.
You mentioned having student loans, right?
Yeah.
So that's a perfect example. Investing in your education, getting a degree that can potentially increase your earning power.
Mm-hmm.
That's often considered good debt.
Okay, so it's about strategically using debt as a tool
Exactly, to reach those bigger goals.
to get ahead.
But even with good debt, there are still smart ways to go about it, right?
Right. So what are those smart ways?
Well, it's crucial to borrow responsibly, you know,
Okay.
shop around for the best interest rates,
Uh-huh.
and create a solid repayment plan that fits your budget.
So it's like planning a hike.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Choosing the right gear, mapping out your route before you hit the trail,
Makes sense. So it's not about avoiding debt entirely, but about being smart.
right? Being intentional, making sure the debt you take on is working for you.
Not against you.
Exactly. And this ties back to the whole goal setting thing.
Right.
When you're setting those financial goals,
Yeah.
make sure they prioritize saving over borrowing.
So like if I'm dreaming of a vacation,
Yeah, instead of pulling out the credit card,
all right,
set up a savings goal.
watch that travel fund grow.
Exactly. It's about delaying gratification, making choices that align with your long-term financial well-being.
Like training for a marathon.
Exactly. Building that discipline and endurance to reach the finish line.
Awesome. So we've talked about strategies and tools, but you also mentioned some great resources in your notes,
Oh, yeah. Tons of resources out there.
like books and websites that you found helpful.
Yeah, definitely. One book that really stood out to me was I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramsey.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
It's especially good for young professionals.
Okay.
He breaks down those complex financial concepts in a clear and engaging way,
Ooh.
and his focus on building a rich life.
Not just a rich bank account.
Exactly. That really aligns with your values.
Totally. What about websites? Any favorites there?
Oh, yeah. NerdWallet is like a goldmine of information.
I use NerdWallet all the time.
They've got articles, comparison tools, even calculators
Wow.
to help you make smart decisions about everything from debt to credit cards.
Super helpful.
Definitely. And for apps, you mentioned wanting something focused on organization and efficiency, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Anything that can keep me on track.
Well, we already talked about YNA and Money Sensei,
Right, right.
but there's another one you might like.
Okay, what's that?
It's called the Debt Payoff Planner.
Debt payoff plan.
It lets you visualize your debt repayment.
Oh, cool.
Experiment with different payoff strategies,
Uh-huh.
like the Debt Snowball or Avalanche, and track your progress all in one place.
Sounds super user-friendly.
It is. It's like having a personal debt-slaying coach in your pocket.
I love it. Any other apps or resources you want to add to our toolkit here?
Oh, yeah, tons. For
Yeah.
podcasts, there's the classic, The Dave Ramsey Show.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
He's known for his tough love approach,
Okay.
but his advice is really practical and motivating.
Makes sense.
And if you're more visual, there are great YouTube channels like Graham Stephan and Clever Girl Finance.
Awesome. This is such a great collection of resources. It's amazing how much information and support is out there
Yeah,
for anyone who's ready to take control of their finances.
Totally.
But let's be honest, even with all the knowledge and tools, sometimes we need a little extra help.
Definitely.
So what advice would you give to someone who's feeling overwhelmed and not sure where to turn?
I'd say reach out to one of the many organizations dedicated to helping people with these challenges.
Okay, cool. Are there any you recommend?
Yeah, for sure. The National Foundation for Credit Counseling, or NFCC,
NFCC.
they offer free or low-cost financial counseling and debt management services.
Awesome. So they can help with budgeting and stuff?
Yeah, their certified counselors can help you create a budget, negotiate with creditors, and develop a solid plan to get back on track.
That's so reassuring. Are there any other organizations you'd recommend?
Yeah, the American Fair Credit Council, or AFCC,
Okay, the AFCC.
they specialize in connecting people with legitimate debt settlement companies.
Oh, that's great. So important to avoid those scams.
For sure. It's like having a trusted guide through the financial wilderness.
I love that. And for those who are maybe feeling a little lost and demotivated,
Yeah.
what's one piece of advice you'd give to someone just starting their journey towards a debt-free life?
I'd say believe in yourself.
Okay,
Believe in your ability to change your financial future.
I love that.
It might feel overwhelming at first,
Yeah.
but remember, every step you take,
Uh-huh.
every dollar you save, every debt you pay off
Yeah.
brings you closer to your goal.
Such an inspiring message. It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. We'll be right back to wrap up this deep dive with a final thought to leave you pondering. All right, so we've explored like all the practical stuff, right?
Yeah, the nuts and bolts of managing debt, strategies, resources, all that good stuff to help you break free.
Yep.
But now I want to shift gears a bit
Okay.
and leave you with something a little more expansive.
I like it.
A question to kind of spark your imagination
Right?
and connect this whole journey to something bigger.
Yeah, I think that's important.
So here's the question for you to think about. What if being debt-free wasn't just a financial goal, but like a gateway to pursuing your biggest dreams?
I love that. Imagine that feeling,
Yeah.
that lightness of not being weighed down by those monthly payments.
No more interest draining your bank account.
Exactly. What could you do with all that extra money and energy?
Yeah, what doors would open up for you? What adventures could you go on?
Think about it.
You mentioned wanting to travel more in your notes.
Oh yeah, travel's definitely a big one.
What if financial freedom meant finally taking that trip to see the Northern Lights?
Or exploring those ancient ruins you've always talked about.
It's about more than just the money, though, right?
Right, it's about freedom.
It's about having the time and energy to actually pursue your passions.
Exactly. What if you could finally start that business you've been dreaming of?
Or take that photography class.
Write that book.
Yes. It's about living a life that's aligned with your values.
Not limited by your finances.
What if you could donate more to charity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Support the causes you believe in.
It's about thriving, not just surviving.
Absolutely.
And it all starts with taking control of your money
Building that strong foundation.
so you can reach for those bigger goals.
It's like we've built this incredible rocket ship of knowledge.
I like that.
And now you have the controls.
You're ready for takeoff. We've given you the tools, the strategies, the inspiration
Now it's up to you to chart your course.
to create the life you truly want.
And remember, you don't have to do it alone.
Right? There's a whole community out there to support you
People who've been where you are,
and want to see you succeed.
we believe in you.
We know you can achieve financial freedom.
And create a life you love.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into escaping the debt trap and building a life of abundance.
It's been a pleasure.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep reaching for those stars.